Okay, great. So welcome to a Yin Yoga class. My name is Holly Hancock. It's great to be here with you all today. For today, you will want a pillow or a blanket or both, but just something at some point that you can use to kind of bolster your body. So we'll just start by finding yourself in a comfortable seated position. And just give yourself a few breaths here to start to drop into the present moment, letting the rest of the day fade away. You can close your eyes. If it's distracting to close your eyes, you can have them half open or open. And just start to check in with your breath. Any lingering impressions from the day. Just give yourself permission to let all of that stuff go for an hour and just be here with your body, with your breath. Through yoga and breathing, we help to foster a mind-body connection, especially in kind of stressful or weird times, like a pandemic, for example. Our minds and bodies can kind of disassociate from each other. So yoga and breathing is a really great way to kind of bring your body and mind back together. So I'm just going to start by asking you a question, giving yourself a minute or two to think about it. So my question that you can ask for yourself today is, how is your heart? How is your heart? Just take a moment to think about that. For the next hour, rather than having the goal of your practice be, to get deeper into a posture or anything like that, maybe just have the goal of your practice be filling up your heart space a little bit so that you leave a little bit more light than when you come in. That's all. We'll start with a breathing exercise called 4-7-8 breathing. It is scientifically and anecdotally proven to help calm the parasympathetic nervous system. So this breathing techniques helped us relax a little bit more. And the premise is simple. You inhale through your nose for a count of 4. You'll hold the inhale for a count of 7. And then you'll exhale through your nose for a count of 8. So the exhale is twice as long as the inhale with a hold in between. It can take a couple rounds of breaths to figure out how quickly you should be inhaling versus exhaling, but just know that it should never be restrictive. So if it does not feel comfortable for you, feel free to breathe at your own rate. The general premise is that you want to exhale longer than you inhale with a break in between. So sit up tall, relax your shoulders and your jaw, and I'll walk us through a few rounds. Seal your lips, place your tongue on your palate, space between the roof of your mouth and your teeth. Exhale completely and inhale through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll continue this breathing exercise for 2 more minutes. Try to keep your jaw and shoulders soft, rooting down through your hips, just focusing on your breath. Let's do one more full round of breath. As you're ready, just return your breath to normal, in and out through your nose. Take a moment and notice now, how is your heart? If your eyes are closed, gently open your eyes. We're going to start in tabletop position, coming onto all fours, hands and knees, and just start by making circles with your body. Just starting to warm up the body, maybe going clockwise, rooting down through all 28 knuckles, and then counterclockwise, forward, back. Just noticing how these movements feel in your body today, because every day is a little bit different. Coming back to center, and you can take a few cat-cows. So as you exhale, pulling your navel in, dropping your head down, rounding your spine up. As you inhale, dropping your belly down, lifting your chest up, bending your spine. As you exhale, draw your navel towards the ceiling, crown towards the floor, hips towards the ribs, push your knuckles down. Inhale, drop your belly down, lift your chin up, squeeze your shoulders together, stick your butt up. Exhale, pull your belly in, create space between the shoulders, rounding the vertebrae, belly in, head down. Inhale, drop your stomach down, lift your hips up, root down through the knuckles, open your chest. Good. One more time, rounding the spine into cat pose, meow. And then arching your spine, cow, moo. Okay, wonderful. From here, coming into tabletop, we're gonna take our first long hold of a posture. So we're gonna do what's called child's pose, or in Yin is called tadpole, which I think is fun. So open your knees wide, bring your feet close together, and start to sink your hips down as you reach your arms forward. Now there's lots of options here. You're welcome to have a blanket or pillow under your ankles, between your hips and knees. I like to put something on under my chest, so there's a little extra room there. And we're gonna hold here for 4 minutes. So if you ever see me, if you ever look up and notice that I'm looking at my watch, I promise I'm not ignoring you, I'm just doing a time. I will cue us when we're halfway through. So right away, if having your arms forward does not feel good, you can always have your arms down by your sides. And generally, you want to think about lengthening the spine, but it should never be punishing or uncomfortable. So in Yin Yoga, we want to do long holds of postures, and we want to do a little bit less than we think we should. So you want to operate on about 70% capacity rather than 100% capacity. The idea is, if you hold child's pose for a minute or 30 seconds, you might get a muscle stretch, but when you hold it for like 4 minutes, you actually start to work into connective tissue and fascia. So sometimes when you're in a Yin class, it doesn't feel like much is happening, but then the next day, the sensations are more intense than were you to like go deeper but hold for less time. So if you're one of those people that tends to like push, view this as a mental challenge to back off of that energy, and a physical challenge, just a reminder that like less is more, yeah? Just want to get a stretch through the whole spine, sinking the hips down, never a point of pain. So you inhale, feel your rib cage expand. And as you exhale, let your chest soften. We're about halfway through, about 2 minutes left. There's 3 tenets of Yin, and they're very simple. You make a shape, you hold a shape, and you breathe. That being said, sometimes holding a shape with your body for a long period of time can be intense. If you ever need to grab a prop, ease up, or change your position, that's perfectly fine, right? You want to listen to your body and what your body is telling you. So again, it's normal to feel uncomfortable at a certain point in a posture in Yin, but you're never going to a point of pain or a point that does not feel good for you. About 30 seconds left. This is your time. If you want to go a little bit deeper into the posture, knowing that the end is near, you're welcome to do so. Take a slow inhale through your nose. Slow exhale through your nose. And we're going to carefully come out. So place your hands close to your face, push yourself up. And then any motions that you would like to do that might feel good for your body, feel free. I like to straighten one leg, pushing the heel back, whatever feels good for you. Okay, and then we're gonna lie on our backs in cuddle pose. So lying on your back. If it is uncomfortable for you to lie down with your legs straight, you're welcome to bend your legs so your feet are on the floor and your knees rest together. And you're also always welcome to place a small blanket underneath your lower back if that helps you lie more comfortably. So we're gonna do a puddle pose or a savasana between every set of every posture. And that just helps our body kind of normalize, allows for regular blood flow. So Yin Yoga versus Yang Yoga, let's talk about it. So in English, we often say yin and yang, but the actual pronunciation is yang and yin. So Yang Yoga tends to be like vinyasa or Bikram yoga or stuff like that, where you're going fast, you're moving around. It's considered more solar energy. Some people identify it as like masculine energy or go, go, go energy. Yin yoga tends to be more like yin or restorative, stuff like that. It is considered more lunar energy. Some people say it's more feminine energy, it's more relaxed energy, darker energy, not in like a bad way, but just yang tends to be lighter, yin tends to be darker. Some people say yang is the right side of the body and yin is the left side of the body. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, I don't believe in binaries, the same way that I don't believe in like black versus white, because obviously there's gray. Yin versus yang yoga, there's a gray area there too, right? Masculine, feminine, same thing, that's a construct. So don't think of it so much as like, this is yin yoga, I must be still all the time, this must be different from other styles of yoga, but just, I think it's a helpful tool that's what we're going for here, a more relaxed state, especially if you, like me, or somebody where like it's hard to sit still or it's hard not to push yourself. Again, this is your challenge. This is arguably why like yin yoga is so good for us, right? It's just an opportunity to slow down a little bit, to be still. So just keep that in mind throughout your practice. If you find that your mind starts to wander or it's hard to sit still, that's okay. Just be gentle with yourself. Remember that it's a practice and you're just practicing doing a little bit less, but also remembering that because of the long holds of postures, even if it might feel like a little bit less in the moment, tomorrow you might still feel something, right? So just holding that in mind, doing a little less than you think you should, because we're holding things for a little bit longer than you normally would. Okay, as you're ready, you're gonna bend your legs up, feet together, resting your knees together, and take your time rolling off to one side. So you can roll to the right or the left, and take a moment on your side, maybe even hugging your knees in and give yourself a hug for practicing yoga today. Good for you. And then put your hands on the floor and push yourself up. Good. So next we're going to do ankle stretching posture, which for those of you that do 26 and 2 yoga with me is also a variation of fixed firm. So if you're familiar with fixed firm, I'll give us a lot of different options. So you can start with your knees and feet together, hips on your heels, and this might be enough. For some of us, we feel this quite intensely through the toes and ankles. And in fact, you might want to ease up a little bit by placing a blanket under your ankles or even a pillow like between your ankles and your hips, right? If this is enough, stay here. Otherwise, you can put your hands on the floor and start to open your feet and maybe even open your knees and eventually sit down between your heels. Now, same thing, you're welcome to have a blanket or a pillow under your butt here. If your butt doesn't touch the floor, no problem. In 26 and 2 yoga, we tell you like no props, but in this style of yoga, it's fun, you get to use props, what a delight. Again, you're welcome to have a pillow or blanket under your glutes if that feels good for you. If it's accessible for you, you can sink your hips all the way down to the floor. And then if you'd like a back bend heart opener here, you can put your hands on your feet and carefully go back. Now the thing to remember here, you want to keep your knees on the floor the whole time. If your knees are coming off the floor, that can hurt your ankles and knees. So ease up there. And then from here, you can have your arms down by your sides or arms over your head, grabbing opposite elbows. And we're gonna hold here for 3 minutes. You're also welcome to have a blanket underneath your lower back. You can play around with lifting your chest higher or even flattening your back. If you are laying down though, try to keep your chin in towards your chest for a long neutral neck. So if you practice 26 and 2 yoga with me, you're maybe used to holding this posture for like 30 seconds or max a minute, but maybe not for like 3 minutes, right? So just doing a little bit less than you think you should. If you identify as stubborn, hi, hello, me too. Another thing to keep in mind with yin is sometimes halfway through we're like, this is really too much, but I don't want to admit it, and so I'm going to just stay here even though it's uncomfortable. Please view this as an opportunity to practice a little bit of compassion with yourself. If what you're doing does not feel good right now, even if you've done it a million times before and it always felt okay, if what you're doing does not feel good right now, please don't do it. Ease up. You can come up. You can open your knees wider. About halfway through, we have a minute and a half left. And again, just coming back to the tenets of yin, or make a shape, hold a shape, breathe. It's kind of like, you know, if you're into cocktails, there's some really cool cocktails that are like 10 ingredients and, you know, I don't know, it's like there's a smoker involved and like all these different, you know, there's a salt rim and all this stuff. But most cocktail experts, if you ask them like, what's your favorite cocktail of all time, I bet you a lot of them would tell you the Negroni, which is just equal parts of 3 different types of alcohol, and that's it. So in many things in life, like it's fun to zhuzh it up, but also just remember that there's simplicity. There's beauty in simplicity. Let this practice be simple. Of course, you can use props, but you know, you hold a shape and you breathe, right? You find a shape, hold a shape, breathe. That's all. It's like the Negroni of yoga. About 30 seconds left. Okay. We're gonna slowly come out of it. So if you're all the way back, you can place your hands on your feet or on the floor. Take your time pushing yourself up, go slow, and then come back into tabletop. And any motions you need to do, feel free. I like to kind of like tuck my toes under for a second and sit back to stretch out the toes the other way. You can tap out your feet. Again, you can straighten one leg, straighten the other leg. Good. And then we're gonna lie on our stomach this time for belly savasana. And if lying on your stomach does not work for you, please feel free to lie on your back or on your side, up to you. Otherwise, lying on the stomach, you can have your elbows bent out. You can drop your head down. You can also look to the right or the left for a little bit of a neck twist. And you're welcome to have your arms down by your sides as well. And if you do look in one direction, I'll cue us halfway through so that you can look in the other direction. If you're looking to one side, gently lift your head and then look to the other side, opposite ear on the floor. Send deep belly breaths in and out through your nose to massage the front of your body. Breathe deep into any point of tension. Let the floor hold you up. For the next few postures, you might want a blanket or towel or some sort of prop nearby. So if you do not have that, you're welcome to get that now, just a heads up. Otherwise, gently, if you're looking to one side, bring your head back to the center, and we're going to do what's called open wing pose. This is fun. I don't think I've done this with you guys yet. So you're going to bring your right arm out to the side, perpendicular to your body. Okay. Place your left hand on the floor under your shoulder, and you're going to tuck your left toes under and carefully start to roll so that you're looking to the left side of the room. You're welcome to bend your left leg up, so knee faces the ceiling, foot on the floor. Now you can drop your head down and have your ear on the floor, but I would recommend placing some sort of blanket underneath your right ear so that your neck stays in line with your shoulder and with the rest of your spine. So right away, you want to feel this in the right shoulder. If you need to come down a little bit because it's too much, no problem. Eventually lying on the right side of your body. We're going to hold here for 3 minutes. I was talking with a friend yesterday about Yin Yoga and the idea that, you know, in some Yin classes, there's a lot of silence, and other teachers will kind of like talk through it all. And the person I was talking to was talking about how she loves silence, right? And so she's always upset when a teacher talks through the whole class. But the flip side of that is I'm aware that some people like silence is a little bit freaky, or it's easier to get bored or have your mind wander away. So I'm trying to hit a balance here between talking you through some of it, giving you modifications, but also giving you some time just to sit with yourself. And if sitting with yourself or being in silence is a little bit scary, that's okay. It's just a practice, right? You can always use, you know, the tools that you have. So asking yourself, how is my heart? Checking in with your breath. Okay, we're about halfway through. If you need to adjust in any way, if you need to grab a prop, if what you're doing is too intense or you don't feel anything at all, go for it. Do what you need to do. You can play around with bending the leg or straightening the leg. Relax your jaw. About 20 seconds left. If you'd like an even deeper stretch at the end, you can lift your left arm overhead and then drape it back behind you and see if you can catch your right hand with your left hand. So even interlacing the fingers, and then you'll get like both shoulders stretching and the chest opening. Totally optional. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. If you did interlace your fingers at the end behind you, release that grip. Bring your left hand back down to the floor, and then everybody carefully rolling onto your stomach. and we'll do another belly savasana. Any motions you need to do, rolling out the shoulders, if you'd prefer to lie on your back, feel free. And if you do want to look to one side, right or left, I'll cue you halfway through so you know to look to the other side. Let the floor hold you up. Just allow yourself to melt a little bit deeper down, shoulders down, noticing any sensations in the body after releasing out of that posture. If you're looking to one side, you can look to the other side. Is there one more inch of your body that you can relax? One more thought in your mind that you can let go of? Good. Bring your chin forward, and in a surprise twist, we're not going to do the other side just yet. So place your hands on the floor and push yourself up. And we're actually going to do the one standing pose in Yin called dangling pose. So you're gonna come take your time as you stand up, especially if you have low blood pressure. And dangling pose is as it sounds. You're gonna have your feet wide apart. I'm gonna adjust this camera angle just a little bit. You're gonna have your feet wide apart. You can do a gentle bend in your knees and then just start to dangle forward. I would recommend even maybe like catching opposite elbow with the opposite hand. And then you're just gonna drop your head down and we're gonna hold here for 3 minutes. So we're just letting gravity do the work here. Notice that blood is flowing towards the head, and at some point that might feel a little bit intense. If you ever need to take a break, take a break, but just know that especially when we come out of this, we are gonna go really slow. It's good to play around with blood flow in the body, yeah? Lots of fresh blood rushing to the brain here. It's really good for the mind. To take pressure off of your hamstrings, you're always welcome to roll a little bit more weight forward into your toes. You can play around with bending the knees more, lifting the hips up more. Just remembering that we're holding here for a while. You can also play around with bringing your feet closer together or further apart. Jenny and I did a class in the park a couple weeks ago where we did this posture, and I was like dropping my head, you know, so you're like looking between your legs, right? And this squirrel just like came up and was staring at me like in the eyes, like soul to soul for a minute. And I thought he was going to come and like bite me in the butt, but he did not. But yoga in the park, so fun. Picture a little bit more space being created between each and every vertebrae as you breathe. Notice any places where you're holding tension and let that go. We're about halfway through. The more you straighten the legs, the more you will stretch your hamstrings, but make this mostly about the spine. So again, because we're holding for a longer period of time, you don't want to be overstretching the hamstrings. Can you drop your head a little bit more? About 30 seconds left. Place your hands on the floor in front of you. Open up your feet so they're 3 to 4 feet apart. Turn your toes out a little bit and your heels in, and we're gonna come into Malasana or a squat, garland pose. So you're gonna sink your hips down. Sorry, the sun's kind of in my eyes. So right away, if you can't get your heels on the floor and your hips down, that's super normal. You are welcome to have a pillow or multiple pillows underneath your butt. Know that opening your feet a little bit wider or turning the toes out more might help. If this is easy, you can turn your toes into parallel, never turning the toes in towards each other, but eventually feet will be parallel rather than toes turning out. You can have your hands at heart center and gently press out to open the hips more. So this is how a lot of the world sits. It's how a lot of the world eats. It's how a lot of the world uses the bathroom. And then it's like 70% of Americans cannot do this, this posture. So if you just do this for like a minute or two every day, it's really good for opening up your hips. I have a teacher that does this on subway platforms in New York when he's waiting for a train. I did that once in DC and got weird looks. I feel like in New York anything goes, but DC not so much. Let's just hold here for 3 more breaths. Okay, good. It's a little interim between puddle and the dangling posture. So just put your hands on the floor, take your time, carefully turn onto your back for another puddle pose. So puddle pose is similar to Savasana. Another thing that I really like about Yin is a lot of the postures have different names. So like, you know, what we might call child's pose in Vinyasa is called tadpole pose in Yin. What we would call pigeon pose in Ashtanga is called swan pose in Yin. I think the names are nicer. So what we would call Savasana or corpse pose in Bikram, here we're calling it puddle, and it's a little bit more freestyle as if you are a puddle. So you can spread your arms and legs apart. Know that it might not feel like you're doing much here, but just think about how you redirected blood flow right in the forward fold, lots of blood rushing to the head. And when you were in the squatting pose, the blood rushing back down slowly, but then kind of pooling in the hip area, right? And now everything's rushing, blood going all the way to the toes, all the way back up to the crown of your head, through your arms, just unrestricted blood flow through the body. Okay, good. As you're ready, bend your legs up so feet on the floor, knees can rest together for a moment. Take your time in transition. I'm gonna roll off to one side. Again, you can take a moment here on your side, maybe even hugging your knees in, giving yourself a hug. And then we're gonna roll onto our stomach for the other side of open wing pose. So this time placing your right hand, I'm gonna move this angle a little bit. So this time placing your right hand close to your right shoulder, left arm out parallel to, or perpendicular to your body. Words are hard. And this time you're gonna start to roll to your left, and you can bend your right knee up. Again, I like to recommend having a little bit of a blanket underneath your head so that your neck stays in line with the rest of your spine. This side might feel wildly different. I'm gonna hold here for 3 minutes, and remember that to ease up a little bit, you can come down more on your stomach. You can also play around with, you know, bending both legs or straightening both legs or whatever feels good for you. Just breathing into the body, nice shoulder opener. And just be okay with the fact that this side might feel different, right? You're not butterflies. perfectly imperfect, not symmetrical. One of the students, one of our students who's been coming in during Zoom, Jen, you might have seen her. She's been raising butterflies. She found some caterpillars and has been kind of rehabbing them. And most of them have hatched now, but she took a picture of some of their cocoons. And I always thought it's like, you know, you go from the ugly caterpillar into the beautiful butterfly. And most of the cocoons that I've seen have been like gray or not that pretty, but this butterfly cocoon was like purple and it was beautiful. And I was like, wow, you know, as far as metaphors go, sometimes we think that that cocoon stage is kind of bland or ugly or weird. But that cocoon reminded me, like, you know, the transition or those changing moments can often be really beautiful as well. About halfway through, doing any adjustments you need to. So whether you feel like a butterfly or a caterpillar or somewhere in between, just let it feel okay. Remember that even caterpillars, even cocoons are really pretty. Part of the process. About 20 seconds left. Again, for an extra stretch at the end, you can reach your right arm up overhead, drape it behind you, and see if you can interlace your fingers. So then right shoulder on top of left shoulder, chest opening. Totally optional. Okay, if your fingers are interlaced, if you did that variation at the end, you can release the arms first, placing your right hand back down on the floor, and then carefully take your time, roll onto your stomach for belly savasana. If you're looking to one side, maybe looking to the other side. Okay. Place your hands on the floor and put. It's funny. Siri's like, what's going on? Okay, we're gonna come into butterfly pose, and I'm going to give you some different options for butterfly. So we'll just start. You're gonna sit up, sitting up tall, and you're gonna have your feet together and your knees apart. At first, this might look like this with the knees super high up. You're welcome to place blocks or blankets underneath your knees for extra support. Okay, you can also experiment with bringing your feet closer to the center line of your body and letting your knees drop down more. So it's a hip opener. I'll give you a couple different variations that you can play around with today. One is folding forward and just dropping your head down. But the other one that I'm going to invite you to try today, especially if you have pillows or blankets nearby, is a supported heart opener or back bend. So from the side, it might take you a couple minutes to find like the right variation of this, but you're gonna place a pillow maybe multiple pillows, some blankets behind you, and then you can just lower back. You're welcome to also have extra pillows under your head or let your head drop back. But the idea is you're opening through the hips and then it's a nice heart opener. And we're gonna hold here for 5 minutes. What? Crazy. So lots of variations, and I'll tell you when we're halfway through. If you need to get up and get extra pillows or blankets, I'm actually gonna get one extra pillow. You're always welcome to. Okay. So once you've found your shape, you're just gonna hold it and breathe. Remember, keeping it simple. Maybe once again, return to the question, how is your heart? Especially if you're doing the back bend variation. Maybe view this as a gesture, keeping your heart space open. And if you're folding forward, maybe view it as a gesture of some time to go inward, right? Drawing your attention to the center line of your body, feeling the breath emanate from there. Halfway through, if you need to adjust or take a different variation, please feel free. Otherwise, maybe just challenge yourself to sit still a little while longer. Sometimes in yoga, and this is often where I see people get hurt or kind of burn out from it, we're using yoga as a means to prove that we are enough, as in I've got to lose weight, or like I've got to be able to do the splits, or I've got to look really buff, or whatever it is, rather than yoga being a means to remind yourself that you are already enough. And if you're using yoga as just a tool to like come back to yourself, to remind yourself that you're enough, it's a lot more pleasant to practice, and it's a lot easier to get into the room, I think. So just let that kind of be your goal. Not that you have something to prove or that you need to do something in this room to make yourself worthy. Let everything that you're doing in this space in your time with yoga just be a gentle reminder that you are already worthy and that you're already enough. There's a Buddhist death meditation, and the idea is you meditate on, like, if you were given a year to live, what would you do? 6 months, what would you do? A month, a week, a day? And what I realized is that in every one of those scenarios, I always end up practicing yoga, and specifically yoga in community, even if it's through Zoom. Because being with you all, moving my body, it's not a means, right? It's not so that I can be something in the future. It's a way for me to just relax and breathe and sit with myself. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. Good. Forgot to tell you guys about the 30-second mark. So we are actually at the 5-minute mark. Take your time, whether you're lying backwards or folding forwards or just sitting upright. Really go slow coming up. Do any motions that might feel good for you. So I'm going to bring my knees together and just give myself a big hug. Maybe windshield wiper your knees right and left. Good. Okay, and then turn, lie on your back in Savasana or cuddle pose. Noticing any sensations as the body returns to a more neutral state. Let your whole body sink into the floor. Hip openers and heart openers can sometimes release some like memories, emotions, feelings, sensations, whatever you want to call it. So if you don't feel anything right now, that's totally normal. But if you feel like a little bit weepy or just like you can really feel your emotions right now, that's really normal. Just so you know, just in case that's you right now. It's totally normal. Just connecting a little bit more with yourself and releasing some tension from the body, which is great, right? Who doesn't want to release tension? Last active posture of the day is a spine twist. You can bring your arms out to the side or bend them, cactusing your arms like goalposts. Bend your legs, so feet on the floor, knees together, feet together. And you're just gonna roll your knees to one side. So maybe right knee towards the floor so the left hip comes off the floor. You can play around with different variations. You can keep both knees bent. You can straighten your right leg. So the top leg is bending and the bottom leg is straight. You can also play around with bending that right leg, bringing it to the left, and see if you can catch your right foot with your left hand. Do try to keep two shoulders on the floor. And if that's easy, you can even like straighten your left leg and catch your left foot with your right hand. So lots of different variations here. If you're straightening the left leg out to the side, it's a nice IT band stretch. We'll be here for one more minute, just a shorter posture, just twisting the spine. You can also keep your head on the floor or look to the left, left ear on the floor for a whole spine twist. So many options. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. We're going to reverse out. So if your left ear is on the floor, roll your head back to center first. If you're catching your left foot with your right hand, release that. If you're catching your right foot with your left hand, release that. Bring your knees, feet back together and take your time. Slowly roll back to center. Let your arms and legs down by your sides. Puddle pose. Notice what parts of your body are touching the floor. Notice what parts of your body are not touching the floor. Can you melt down? A little deeper. Let the floor hold you up. Good, let's do the other side. Have your arms out to the side or cactus like goalposts. Bend your legs up, feet on the floor, knees resting together. This time you'll roll your knees to the other side. So knees to the left. And lots of options. You can stay right here with both legs bent. You can straighten your bottom leg, your left leg, and keep your right leg bent. You can bend your left leg back behind you and try to catch your left foot in your right hand. You can stay here. You can also straighten your right leg out to the side and see if you can catch your right big toe with your left hand. You can keep your head on the floor or look to the right ear on the floor for even a neck twist. And again, what worked on the other side might not work on this side, and that's okay. Holding here for 1 minute. Take a slow inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your nose. And we're going to reverse out. So if you have your right ear on the floor, start by rolling your head back to center. If you've caught your right foot in your left hand, release that foot first. If you've caught your left foot in your right hand, release that foot second, bringing your knees, feet back together. And then carefully roll back, hips to floor, arms down. You can keep your knees bent up or have your legs down as well. Final petal pose, final savasana. Start to check in with your feet. Relax through your feet. Let your pinky toes get heavy. Relax through your ankles, shins, softening through the knees and thighs. Relax your outer thighs, inner thighs, and this space between your thighs. Relax your glutes, your hips, and your lower belly. Soften your lower back, middle back, upper back. Stomach, relax your stomach. Ribs and chest, relaxing the torso. Soften through your shoulder blades, collarbones, let your shoulders get heavy. Relax your neck and throat. Release any tension in the upper arms and elbows. Relax your forearms and wrists, and let your hands get really heavy. Relax your hands and feet. Relax through your jaw, ears, inner ears and outer ears. Soften through your cheeks and lips. Let your tongue be heavy in your mouth. Relax your nostrils, bridge of the nose, space between the eyebrows. Relax your temples. Let your eyeballs get heavy. Relax each and every eyelash. Soften through your forehead and eyebrows, and relax the crown of your head, your scalp. Relax each and every hair follicle. Feel your whole body a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more at ease. And once again, ask yourself, how is your heart today? Stay in final Savasana as long as you want, and seal your practice in a way that is meaningful to you. It can be with a pat on the back or a nod, a breath, or a prayer. Just creating some sort of ritual when you're ready to allow yourself to end your practice. Again, you can stay in final Savasana as long as you want. If you have any questions, please let me know. It is lovely to be here with all of you today. Drink lots and lots of water. Have a wonderful day. Great to see you all.